Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Please ignore all the noise in the background. I don't know what my mom's doing. Today I'm drawing Erskine Ravel from Skullduggery Pleasant and talking about him because it's Monday and I have an hour to get this video done, hence why I'm not waiting for my mom to be done whatever she's doing. I have an hour to get this recorded and edited. And I need to somehow get this video finished before 5:30, so yeah, an hour to get it finished currently. Also, I just wanted to do this, so I'm doing it now. I'm also going to apologize for the lack of research in this video. I don't have enough time to do it, so there's a few things that I'm going to say I think this happened. I'm not the most accurate source. I'm like a slightly edited Wikipedia article because I haven't read some of these books in a long time. So just in advance, on that note, this video will contain major spoilers for books 1 to 9 at least, and also a spoiler for Seasons of War, and possibly a few little other ones if I mess up. So if you haven't read that far, this is your warning. With that said, please like and subscribe. I would massively appreciate it. Also, I should probably mention this idea was sparked by my TikTok moot, Griffin, making a TikTok on it. I'll link their account in the description. Please ignore my mom sneezing really loudly. Now let's get on with the video. So I think it's safe to say that Ravel is probably one of the most hated characters in Skullduggery Pleasant. That will kind of come with killing one, if not the most beloved character in the series. But honestly, I think before that book where he did that, he was possibly he was very loved in the fandom, I think. And then Last Stand of Dead Men happened, and everyone immediately switched up. If you were online at that time when that book came up, anyone who used to draw really cool things of him all and cutesy things of him, the average thing that you're gonna get when you have a middle-aged man character, started switching up completely. So it was pretty easy to tell, and it still kind of is, who's read that book and who hasn't, because the immediate switch is stark. So Ravel is one of the original 7 dead men, and for those of you who haven't read the books and are watching this for the giggles, I get you, I do that all the time. The dead men are a group set up during the 500-year-long war to pretty much be a volunteer suicide squad. Literally, they just sent these 7 guys on suicide missions, and somehow they made it out of there alive. Or, most of them, but, that's kind of their shtick. The original team is made up of Ghastly Bespoke, Hopeless, Skullduggery Pleasant, Erskine Ravel, Dexter Vex, Anton Shutter, and Saracen Rue. Eventually, Larrikin Fetter, who was originally a substitute for when one of them was out of action, would join permanently when Hopeless died. Maybe. We've never learned how he died, and I've kind of learned not to trust these things unless I've been given specifics, although most people think he died fighting Baron Vengeance because it's mentioned he's the only one that could single-handedly kill Baron Vengeance, and Skullduggery mentions he had a friend that was killed by him, but it's never been confirmed, and I've already gone off track. So also, it might have been confirmed in the grimoire, but I'm going to admit right now, I literally only read the archivist notes in the grimoire because that's the only plot in the grimoire, and I was like, oh, well, I know what's happened up till now. I read some of the interviews as well, but that was it. I'm admitting it, but Anyway, I mentioned Larrikin taking over for various dead men at different times because he took over for Ravel when he was captured at one point. During this time, Ravel was tortured for days on end, which, he told them everything he knew, which probably meant the torture was very extreme considering the stuff we've seen the other dead men go through in this series. But even after he told them everything he knew, they just didn't stop because, the dead men had been a pain in their asses for so long that now that they finally had one captured, they, according to Ravel himself, were enjoying every single scream. Eventually, one day, he heard screams that weren't his own and assumed that it was his friends coming to save him, but it wasn't any of the dead men. Instead, it was the Torment, who, for the non-book readers, is the leader of the Children of the Spider, who are these mages who have spider-related abilities, basically. So then he spent a year with the Children of the Spider. I think the I thinks are starting now. I think it was a year while he recovered, and during this time he saw the conditions that they were forced to live in because of mortals, due to the fact that the Children of the Spider find it harder to blend in with them than the average mage. And this, paired with the children of the spider constantly whispering in his ear, no doubt led to him forming the same opinions they had on mortals and would eventually lead him to betraying his friends. But not for a long time, considering the fact that Hopeless was assumably still alive at this time, since Larkin was filling in and wasn't a permanent member of the Dead Men. Because he took over permanently when Hopeless died, so I'm assuming he was still alive at this time. Also, important mention, Hopeless in Hell Breaks Loose, so I guess spoilers for Hell Breaks Loose, but it's a prequel, kind of. Don't read it if you haven't read up to until the end, but this part is part of the prequel, so it's not too much spoilers. But I'm just going to say it anyway, just in case anyone doesn't want to listen to this bit because of that. But in Hell Breaks Loose, he refers to him as the loyal one of the group, which is kind of funny, considering that he turns out to be the traitor in the end. However, I kind of want to point out the fact that I'm assuming Hopeless was saying this prior to him being kidnapped and tortured. Because I at least consider, and I think most people consider most, if not all of his other descriptors of the different dead men to be accurate. So I'm assuming I'm right. And that would also mean that Ravel has considerably changed after what happened. And even if it is after he was captured, I can see how Hopeless's prior experiences with him would make him come to that conclusion. And he might have not been acting super different. And if he was acting super different, it could have been a thing of, oh, well, he's gone through all this, so makes sense. And, at the end of the day, that even if that is what happened, it kind of still makes me at least end at the same conclusion. So, you probably messed the poor guy up, is what I'm saying. Now, on to what he did. So I'm not going to start at the main kicker because I need to start slightly earlier, specifically when Saracen was being poisoned, because I'm not going to go super far back to when this all started. Go read the books. So Saracen is extremely sick and presumably dying, and like the amazing friend he is, right guys, he's so great. Erskine is taking care of him and giving him medicine, known as poison. That's just the name of it. Trust me, it's not actually poison. And oh wait, he's not sick at all. Ravel's just slowly poisoning him. Oh, god damn it! I'm trying to defend you here, man. Okay, but seriously, throughout the series, we don't know Saracen's discipline, at least until Seasons of War. But none of his friends know either, and whenever they ask, they just get told he knows things. Because of this, a lot of people, including Erskine, thought he was a sensitive, aka a person that can read minds. By the way, Saracen has said multiple times that he's not a sensitive, specifically. do you really trust your friend that little? Actually, of course you do. You're betraying him as we speak, but, if it was anyone else, I would, kind of be like, eh. So, because Erskine thinks he can read minds, he decides he needs to get rid of him. Just in case, he slips up and lets his, guards down, and then he gets into his mind and sees, oh, he's a traitor. But it can't seem suspicious because he has to keep up appearances. So he just starts poisoning him in small bouts to make him extremely ill. However, when Saracen is on his deathbed, he decides to tell Erskine his actual discipline, and spoilers for Seasons of War because we don't find out until then. Minor spoilers for this, so just skip 30 seconds or so ahead, maybe a minute, just to be safe. But he's a Lysonist, so pretty much he can just see through walls and that's it. Upon learning that, Ravel stops poisoning him and he gets better. Now, actually, before I go on to my next point, how was that not suspicious that after you told your friend, who happens to have golden eyes, that you're not a sensitive and you're actually this, you get magically better? I mean, let's not question it now. Also, I can't remember if they have the whole man with golden eyes hint at this stage or not. So maybe I'm getting too into it and getting a bit too angry at him, but Now, I mention this because to me at least, it makes it obvious that Ravel definitely doesn't want to kill his friends, because as soon as he finds out he doesn't have to, he stops. Also, I mean, how stupid is it to poison a guy that can read your mind, slowly? I know, obviously Ravel has, all the protections up, like everyone else, but, if you slipped up like you were scared of doing, and he found out you were poisoning him, although you could argue that he wouldn't be able to because he's weak from being poisoned, I guess. Anyway, On to the thing that everyone hates Ravel for, killing Anton Shutter in Ghastly Best Book. Now, most people care more about Ghastly, but Anton is a gem. He is a diamond in the rough, and I will not take any criticism of his character, okay? He has about 10 lines in his short lifespan in the books. I mean, he's over 500 years old, but like the short amount of like Anton we get on the book page. But all of his lines, he only has like 20, maybe max. But all of them are pure gold. So I will not take any Anton hate in the comments, okay? I don't care that he called someone fat. It was funny. And they're also like best friends, so I mean, I do that too to my best friend, so. So Ravel, Anton, and Ghastly, and 2 random Australian mages, and I don't know why I specifically remember them being Australian. Maybe they're not, but I think they were Australian specifically for some reason. Why were they Australian? But anyway, they all go to confront Madame Mist. Dr. Nye kills the 2 Australians, but who cares about them, because when they find Madame Mist, the Black Cleaver comes out, and before Anton can even react, he gets Anne Boleyn by said Cleaver. And then Ghastly feels something stab him in the back, and oh look, Ravel stabbed him in the back. Oh, like literally. And oh look, Ravel's crying, and oh wait, he has golden eyes, and they've been warned of a man with golden eyes, and oh, he's the traitor, isn't he? So yeah, I mean, he didn't directly kill Anton, but he did kill Ghastly and lead Anton to his death, so most people just say he did kill Anton. Also, when Ghastly dies, Sick laughs. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Sick? Sis? Sis. Sick laughs about it, and Ravel, like, immediately, I think he grabs him by the throat. I can't remember. I think he does. And, like, threatens his life, and he says, like, that Ghastly's a better man than him, so it's obvious he didn't really want to kill his friends and that he regrets his actions, but you still did it. you still did it. I will also mention that him telling his other friends to stand down at different points so that he wouldn't have to kill them obviously means, he doesn't want to kill them, but again, he still did everything he did despite the fact that he was friends with these people for over 400 years and also fought a war with them, and also they trusted him with their lives because of all of that. Also, off topic, but I did use the Wikipedia article to check some of my facts on this, but I know that might not be 100%. Why does it give a specific date for when he was born? Is that confirmed in the books? I swear no one else has a specific date for when they were born, except for this guy. I think it was 1602 or 04 or something. I can't remember. I don't really care though. I think also, by the way, I think Dexter got a swear pass in the book when they like confronted him, and on it, because basically there's like a video of Anton being beheaded and Ghastly being stabbed, and the other dead men get shown that video. So I think Dexter getting that swear pass, if he did, I'm 90% sure he did, but it might be a bit of a Mandela effect, was completely warranted and was the perfect time to give a character in a kid's book a swear pass. These books are supposed to be for kids, by the way. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. They're not really, especially the later ones, but like even like, because I was kind of like, oh, it's a book series that's kind of grown with its viewership to be darker as it's gone up. Like, even as you go up in the books, the age rating does get higher. But even if you go back to, like, the first, second, third one, there's still things that happen that it's like, oh, I don't think kids should be reading that. But, yeah, when I was a kid, I kind of didn't think about it as I think of it now. Like, when I read some of the gory scenes and, like, the older books now, I think of it in like a lot more detail than I think I did as a kid. The only scene in it that ever massively scared me as a kid was the claustrophobia one. That one, it's kind of scary. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Ravel almost gets killed by skullduggery then, only for Darkess, who has Valkyrie's memory, so is obviously pissed that 2 of her friends have been murdered, to curse him with unbearable pain for 23 hours a day that will only get worse if he gets used to it. So, party in the house. He's got his comeuppance. It might have been a bit much comeuppance, but most people don't think of it that way because Ghastly was definitely a fan favorite character. like 100% a fan favorite character. Trust, like, still is. After that, he's eventually used as bait against Darkess. They take him to a separate dimension, so that like the thread that they're like connected by, so that she can make him feel all that pain, is like severed. So she'll go looking for him. And then eventually he's sacrificed into the accelerator to shut it down. It's an iconic scene. I'm going to do my best to describe it from memory, and it's going to be gorgeous. So for those of you who haven't read the books, here's your descriptor of that scene by someone who is not a writer. So the soul sacrificed to the accelerator kind of has to be given willingly, because once given, the soul can't rejoin like the life and death cycle or whatever. So Skullduggery like is like, hey Ravel, you should do it, and Ravel's like, nuh-uh. So then Skullduggery just like goes, okay, well someone has to go in willingly, and everyone's like, no, Skullduggery, don't do it. And then he throws Ravel in, and then I think it's Destrier that has the accelerator. I can't remember. It doesn't really matter. Is like, dude, it had to be given willingly, and Skullduggery's like, I gave it willingly. I gave his soul willingly, and it works somehow. So I hope you enjoyed my explanation of that scene anyway. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, by the way, it kind of did seem like Skullduggery was going to sacrifice his soul to the accelerator. It's gonna seem less like it now, but at the time that I was reading that book, it was supposed to be the last book of the series. Like, the series wasn't continuing after this book. This was the last one. So it really just seemed like he was going to sacrifice himself, and that would have been the end of the books. And it would have been a good end to the books, but then suddenly he didn't, and oh my god, we're getting a new phase. So yeah, the effects Ravel has had carries on to the next phase, with all the remaining dead men growing further apart, and Dexter full on cutting Saracen off because he wouldn't tell him what his discipline was, and he decided he couldn't trust him if he wouldn't share it with him, which is fair enough, because, I mean, you did tell a traitor, and then that guy betrayed everyone, and then you wouldn't tell him your discipline, even though you've known him for hundreds of years. And also, like, your discipline is kind of something most people tell each other upon, like, meeting each other, so it's, I mean, I understand, you know, like, I understand why he would do that. Anyway, so my take on Ravel as a character, I think he's a very complex character, and he's obviously been manipulated a lot. The fact that he was so well loved, even by like Derek himself, where Derek was like on the fence about making him the traitor until Deathbringer, which is a book in the series. Like, he was kind of like, I don't know if I want to make this guy the traitor, or if I want to introduce a different character to be the traitor, because, you know, he was such a charming little guy, you know. But anyway, like, the Children of the Spider like basically took one of the dead men. And by the way, I'm happy that he did make him the traitor, because it was definitely more emotional than like if he just made a random person the traitor. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, in my opinion anyway, the Children of the Spider basically just took one of the dead men at their most vulnerable and manipulated him into becoming like their personal weapon, pretty much. And when you like reread the books, it makes all his interactions with them just that little bit more icky, especially considering the way like that they speak to him in certain situations. It's a bit icky. I'm not saying I don't blame him. Of course I do. Obviously, at the end of the day, those were his best friends and comrades that, you know, would have died for him with no questions asked. And he killed 2 of them and planned to kill 3. I also think the way Ghastly and Anton died was very snaky, because if Anton had managed to get his gist out before he got beheaded, then Ravel could have kept up the charade for like a good bit longer, because he wasn't the one to deal the first blow. So, I mean, unless Madame Mist or someone else revealed him then, he still could have kept up his charade. So, you know, he's smart, and, you know, he has the advantage of everyone trusting him because they've known him for so long. But I also think that someone should have raised suspicions when they heard about the man with the golden eyes, and he had golden eyes. But I understand why they didn't. Also, I saw a post recently of someone saying that when they heard about the man with the golden eyes, they thought his eyes were made of solid gold. And are you okay? Everyone in the comments was like, no. I mean, I guess especially if you read it when you were younger, it would make sense, but I do not know how you came to that conclusion, but I won't judge you. maybe a little bit, but I'll try not to. So, in short, I think Ravel is, just quite the tragic character, to be honest, who was manipulated into killing and harming his friends for what he believed to be the right thing. He's still a bastard, though, and I hate him, but I love his character because, honestly, the time when he asked Tipstaff for coffee and he brought him tea, and then Ravel made the smallest bit of effort to tell him he asked for coffee before drinking the tea anyway, was the most relatable moment in these books ever. That was the most moment in these books ever. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought of Erskine Ravel, and if there's anything I missed out on in this video, and if anything was inaccurate either, just put it in the description because I did not have time to research this video at all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Also, I didn't have time to pick a proper Irish word of the week, so it's going to be peown, which means pen. Okay, goodbye.